Greetings and welcome to another excellent World of Tanks video. Well, the excellent part of this one, there is an element of that, I suppose. But there's also another one that is not exactly excellent one. That's really why I'm making this video. One of the things I realized I forgot to do was mention how the lock-on has been ruined in this game, because they just can't drive away enough players as they're going, so they have to change something and drive away even more players. Isn't that awesome? It's really crazy. They should just unfurl a banner and say, hey, we have made this change to drive away more players so we can wonder, gee, I wonder why we don't have more players. There's a magical device that has been created that will allow you, well, not you, but the creators of this game and the managers of this game, to see why there are less players than there have ever been before. And the answer is, it's called a mirror. These people are the stupidest people you are likely to encounter. We don't have enough players. Here, let's wreck something. Let's go and pay money to change something in our game that will make players mad, and they will want to quit the game every time they do it. I have seen zero evidence of anything that they have ever changed that has brought new players to the game. If you are aware of this one counter example where they did something that actually increased gamer participation, I would love to know what it is, because I literally don't know that this event has ever occurred. It's possible I missed it. I'd like to know if you think you have an example, because all they do is ruin the game at every possible chance they get. If you remember way back in the day, you had the option of hull lock for your gun, which I used as artillery because their vagaries of bad physics are such that your gun gets out of alignment with your hull and you can't fire straight. So the hull lock is there to prevent that from happening. And you know, the weakness of the hull lock being engaged is that, well, you couldn't traverse your gun left and right without rotating your chassis. Okay, so you know, it's a positive and a negative. Well, they just randomly took it away. I don't know that they ever announced this happening. It was never announced in the game, which is the only place that announcements count, as far as I'm concerned. If you're playing the game and a change has occurred, if you want to be honest, you would have that come up on screen in the game, not on some esoteric website cheap shot way to say, well, we advertised, we told people it was happening. Yeah, shut up, you're lying. They're liars, okay? They're criminals, they're secretive, they're liars, they do not like you, they hate your guts. As soon as you understand that, it will help you understand why they do the things that they do. It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't help you, which is not really their concern. But the irony is that not only does it not help you, the customer, it does not help them to satisfy the customer, and therefore customers will leave. This is not the same kind of mental participation that is required of, say, oh, I don't know, astrophysics. We're not talking about advanced integral calculus. All right? We're talking about one of the most basic concepts in business. If you satisfy reasonable customers, they will reward you with money. This is a proven concept. This is not a experiment. It's not a vacuous idea. It's been proven over centuries to everyone except really people in modern businesses. You see all kinds of these examples that are just unbelievable. You have Disney. We don't need men to watch our movies. Hey, why don't men watch our movies? Gee, I can't imagine why. You have these people destroying brands and then wondering, hey, why aren't we making any money? After we've destroyed this brand, why don't we make any money? It's fairly obvious, isn't it? They destroyed the brand. You've seen them destroy these things that, no longer exist unless you're very, very young. There are, things that have gone away, and they've been, some cases, done so maliciously from what you might call an insider. But let's not dwell on the idiocy of War Gaming, which is the stupidest gaming company I've ever seen in my life, literally. Now, the advantage that they have is that the people they have to create visual items for this game, which you're seeing in front of you, are quite excellent. This game looks fantastic. The physics is trash. Tanks don't drive the way these tanks drive. In fact, no vehicle drives this badly. It's like, but they look good, okay? They look good, but they perform horribly. They drive poorly, and the guns fire even worse. It's mathematically impossible to miss a shot off target as far off line as the guns in this game do, because I know of a little thing, you might have heard of it. It's called trigonometry. We can do the calculations. You can't miss the shots that far. It's not possible at the ranges that you're firing. The only way that would happen is if you could impart some kind of a spin sideways to cause the bullets to veer off line. You can't be pointing at a tank and then miss the entire tank by 20 or 30 feet. Or, if you're a metric system guy, by 5 or more meters. It's not possible, okay? It's literally impossible. This is the only game that does this. It's really bizarre. It doesn't make the game better, it makes it worse. In fact, everything they do to change this game makes it worse. The only advantage they have is that they make things look, the guys who make things look good, they do a great job of that. The other guys who do sound engineering of voices and what have you, and the music is fantastic. But as soon as you get to game physics, it's awful. There's no way someone who worked on this game can get a job elsewhere where game physics is part of the job, because they would just look at this game and say, oh my, your physics is awful. Do you realize there's no F in the word physics? Because your programming of the physics leads me to believe that you believe that the word physics is spelled with an F. That's how stupid you seem. That is the idiocy of wargaming. I've never played their other games because there's no way their ship game is any good. I know I played a game that was infinitely the best game I've ever played with ship combat, and that was Battle Stations. And if you have played Battle Stations, you know what I'm talking about. There's no way any other ship game is going to come close to that. In fact, that game was so good that when they made a sequel, now the ship combat was the same, but they ruined the game balance, and that game was dead on arrival, like 6 or 8 weeks from launch, because it was just completely unplayable, and they didn't fix it. They couldn't fix it. They didn't want to fix it. I don't know what it was, but the game was, competitively broken because they had rocket kamikazes, and that ended the game. Literally ended the game. No one played it because it was unplayable. But Battle Stations, that game was phenomenal. So if you get a chance to pick one up, man, just for this single player storyline, if you want to call it, whatever, the missions, those were fantastic. Worth playing just for that alone, not the, I assume the multiplayer is gone in that game, but the single player stuff was just awesome. The game physics were just fantastic. And again, I know that this Wargaming guys, they make an airplane game. There's no way it can be any good, because there's been 20 good, really, really good airplane games. So their model of let's make it terrible and let you pay to make it slightly less terrible, there's no way that would work, because the other games were awesome. My kids played Crimson Skies, which was fantastic. I played Secret Weapons over Normandy, which was fantastic. I wouldn't touch a Wargaming airplane game if you paid me to do it. Okay, I would if you paid me, just so I could make a video and show you what I thought of it. But until that happens, I ain't doing it. So let me show you now a game featuring the tank that you see here in front. That is my Martyr 38T sniper tank. And what's happened is that they changed the way the lock-on works. Basically, I read a thing, and it was an accidental thing. I wasn't even trying to find it. I found it by accident, and was like, oh, well, lock-on's going to work the same at 200 meters, supposedly, or less. Okay? I'm not... I don't go and measure the details of these things. I will assume that it's ballpark of 200 meters, whether it's dead on 200 or not, plus or minus, it doesn't really matter. Conceptually, you're looking at a 200-meter shot to your target. Their lock-on works the same. Outside of that, it was stupid. All right? Now, as a good player, anyone can handle the difference. It's not bad in the same way as other things they have done have been bad. It's just insulting that 11 years after the game has been going on, you have to change something else. Every time they change something, they're insulting you and me. Hey, if it bothers you, fine. If it doesn't bother you, that's fine too. But my spidey senses tell me it bothers almost everyone. Okay, I'm going to go with my gut reaction on this one, because I've been playing games longer than most of you guys have actually even been alive. Okay? I remember literally, you have to be my age almost. Really, you have to be 60 or almost 60 years old to actually physically remember not seeing video games. Because it goes back to like 1974, 73. Computer Space was the game. And if you've ever seen Computer Space, you know what it is. And the first time you see it, it looked awesome. It's just an awesome looking cabinet on a game that was just impossibly difficult. By today's standards, it's not that bad, because our gaming skills have been supremely tuned, that you could play Computer Space. A good player today could play Computer Space and still do well. But it was revolutionary beyond its time. But that's another story. So I remember the world without video games, where you would go and there weren't any. And the king of the hill back in those days was pinball. And we were drooling pinball players, my brother and myself. We would go to 7-Eleven and just watch people play pinball. We were that crazy. But that's another story. So let me show you this game, and you'll get to see the ridiculousness of the abuse of lock-on or lack of lock-on. Welcome to Lakeville. All right, now let's see what's going on. All right, now this is an odd game because I didn't do a lot of damage, but I made a bunch of kills. And I think it's a good example of the wonkiness, I guess is the word to use, for the way the lock-on doesn't or does work, however you want to configure it or call it. Like here's some guys right there. So you have to primarily aim manually, which isn't that out of the ordinary. Busted him. Didn't get a lot of damage for that. You're going to be shocked at how much damage I didn't get. Another kill right off the bat. You know, some of the maps that are very leafy, like Elements of Karelia or Thiepval Ridge, it's going to be a real nightmare. This one isn't too bad. It's not overly leafy in general. But you know, it's going to make leaf camo a lot more effective because it's harder to hit people as a sniper. You know, for normal people, the ace snipers are still going to be aces. You can't legislate skill out of any competition. And it's a common misconception among idiots that you can legislate skill out of a competition. It's laughably stupid, but only to people who actually have their head screwed on straight. So in this game, even with the terrible way it works now, the ace snipers are still going to be the aces. They're not going away. You cannot stop them. It's just a minor inconvenience because they're there to make shots. That's why they're there. There we go. Nope. Now the one thing you can't do is that you can't just point in the general vicinity and then lock on with the right bumper or R1 trigger if you're on PlayStation. It's not, you know, R1 and R2 on PlayStation or on Xbox, right bumper, right trigger. But here, my job is just to take shots of opportunity on targets that are exposed as the top sniper on my team. And as you can see, I am executing that job rather proficiently. Now, it would have been a little bit easier because I would have right bumpered this guy. He's below, there's a depression over there behind that rock. I just couldn't get it. He was in that depression. Hey, there's the artillery. Let me hammer that idiot. Whoops. But the thing is funny is that, I mean, that was great. I got a kill, but I didn't get hardly any damage. Just one shot. And that's, the whole match was like that. And that's, you know, that's the way it goes. It wasn't a problem. It's just, you know, hey, sometimes you do a lot of damage and don't get kills. Sometimes you get kills and don't do a lot of damage. But as long as you do some combination of those two things, you'll be fine. You know, it's just mop up. I'm not going to make it, but it's okay. So real solid, you know, I wasn't MVP. Normally I would have been MVP on this with 5 kills. I would have had triple my damage that you see here, but it's okay. You know, your job is to play to help your team win. I did that job. The score is irrelevant. It just happens, whatever. Okay. So as you saw, 5 kills, only 565 damage. It happens, man. That's just the way it goes. As you can see, this guy is a 9 skill. Well, he's almost to his 9th skill. He's got 8 skills, and it's, you know, a handful, literally 1, 2, 3, 4 games, whatever it is. It's not very many, and this guy would be maxed out. And I would add another skill, and then I don't know specifically which one it would be. We'll go look at that, I guess, in a minute. Medals, yeah, Pascucci medal for killing the artillery. Fire, do more damage than your hit points. Kill 4 or more guys. I got 5, so that's the fighter medal. You know, 1 short of the Top Gun. And a 3rd class badge, which was solid. And the rest of the team, you know, Matilda did great. Typical Matilda stuff there. So, good scoring for MVP. The Grant did good. Anytime you're in a Grant, for example, or an M3 Lee, you know, you ballpark 1,000 damage, which this guy did, you're having a good game. You're gonna be top of the team scoring for sure. So another good job there. Medium 3, that guy did very well for a tier 3 tank. So again, close to 1,000 damage, really, really good shooting. So that's not a problem. Now, none of those guys were really doing lock-on type shooting that I was doing. All of their encounters are going to be closer range, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So the thing to show you the lock-on or lack of it is the sniper. Now, there's another video that I have made and haven't published yet that describes or shows you how this garage sequence came about, because this was not an intentional garage sequence that you're looking at here. This was an experiment for a video, and I was like, wow, that actually looked good, so I just kept it. I haven't messed with it yet. Just left it as it is. But oh yeah, I was going to look at the commander. Let's go check out this Yeti commander. We make air holes for enemy crew. That guy's fantastic. Okay. What does this guy have? Well, we can see, I guess let's go do it this way, yeah. Reload, accuracy, born leader, which gives you, you know, bonuses. Now, born leader does bonuses for everything. Gives you bonuses for vision, for accuracy, gives you a minor bonus for reload, for camo, for hull rotation. It affects basically just about everything, okay? So, again, reload, and this is what I call them. That's not what they're called. I just call them reload, accuracy, you know, born leader, armor angling, that's what it's called, iron mace, you know, keeps your penetration good at long distance. This is complete magic and fantasy. But this is part of the bad game physics. The fact that their game physics is horrible makes them create iron mace so that you don't lose as much penetration over distance. Now, yeah, your gun would lose penetration over distance. 1,000, 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters, okay? And for those of you from the American School of Distances, 1 mile is a 1,500 meter equivalent, all right? So, yeah, if you're shooting a mile or two, you're going to have a distance, you're going to have a penetration drop. But not in this game, it doesn't happen. The way this game's physics are done are cartoonishly laughable. They're not funny because your results are seriously tied to their cartoon physics. Now, I've said it before, cartoon physics in this game is great in Halloween because it's a superhero style game that's outlandish, like Mortal Kombat, okay? Mortal Kombat's not realistic, but Mortal Kombat's not meant to be completely realistic. It's realistic on a level, but then they add the cartoonish violence, which is just awesome. That's what makes Mortal Kombat so fantastic, is the fusion of those two items. And they do the same thing here in Halloween, which is awesome. But here in straight World War II or Cold War, their physics is laughable. It's bad. Iron Mace is a broadcast that, hey, our physics is so bad that you can pay however you want to pay, acquire the skill, and you can either pay money to accelerate that skill or not, but you can get the skill, quote unquote, to make your bullets have more penetration at 200-300 meters. Yeah, whatever. But it's because their physics is bad, all right? And they charge you for their bad physics. Now, nobody else ever tells you this. Why is that? I don't know. They're looking for freebies, I guess, from war goblins. I guess that's probably what we should call them, war goblins, because they're goblins. But camouflage expertise. This gives you extra camouflage. This is hull rotation, clutch braking. All right, makes your hull will rotate 7.5% faster. So okay, that's cool. It's like if you have a 20 degrees per second rotation of your hull and you add clutch braking, 7.5% would add 3 degrees. So it would go from 20 degrees. Is that 20 degrees? Double check this for a second. Let me redo my math here. 15 divided by 2, 10. That'll be 1.5, right? Yeah, 10% would add 2 degrees. Yeah, it'd be 1.5 degrees. So, sorry. It'd go from 20 degrees to 21.5 degrees per second. All right. It doesn't rotate that slowly. It goes faster. So it is an improvement, and it is helpful. This helps you turn around faster. That's all it really does. So on this one, when I get the other skill, which I could go get at any time, what would I add? Let's go look at the skills. Set a guy on fire more. Well, not turret rotation, because this tank has no turret. All right. Now, if there was another tank, like a sniper tank with a turret, that I wanted to add this stuff to, I could do that, and then rapid aim would be turret rotation, speed increase. That would be useful. Muffled shot hiding in the bushes might be good for this. Good question. The fire chances are relatively low, so it's not necessary. Controlled impact, that would mean I would take less damage if someone rammed into me. Might be useful, but this tank doesn't get rammed hardly ever, so this is one of those things where that's very esoteric and not necessary for this tank. This one would be better with the fire prevention, although the fire chances on this tank are low. Green thumb, another one that might be useful. 10% increase to vehicle's camo in bushes. It depends on the map. There's not a lot of bushy maps that this tank goes into in general. And now, because they have changed the lock-on with bumpers, you're already getting a bonus. It's like, I don't know, it just depends. It just depends from, other tanks as well that you might use this in. My gut reaction is that if I had a turret sniper tank, I'd put the rapid aim on there. Or I could, hope for the extra, catching a guy on fire. The other one really to consider would be the muffled shot. That's another good one. So your shot has less of a flash, I guess. So it all depends, but just thought we'd take a look at it. But Nigel, he's freaking killer. One of the best there is in the game. I do rank the Jolly Roger Commander voice a little better than this one, but the Nigel is way up there. one of my all-time favorites, really. I would have to say, yeah, it's Jolly Roger, Nigel is killer, and Steven, the gray alien, is another one that's really good. I mean, those are like really, really top of the line, but there's a lot of other good ones as well. The Hawk Girl has a great voice, and Ice Queen is also very good. Oh, and the big blue armor guy with the bald head from Warhammer. That guy is also fantastic. So this is an example of the horror for some of you. It's going to vary from player to player, but it is an attack on your gameplay experience. Is what it really is. So it boils down to, it's an attack on your gameplay experience. They're doing to you what they want to do, and they don't care about you. So I suggest that in the future you show them the same behavior, and you don't care about them. So do whatever floats your boat. If that means you don't want to play, okay, whatever. I don't know that, I can't imagine that these idiots would ever get their minds set straight and do anything that's pro-customer. They have just attacked you and insulted you directly and or indirectly at every turn. Now wait until they cheat you blind on commanders. That is going to drive people away like nobody's business, is my estimation. Now, I forgot to do one thing, and that is check and see how many people are on this game as we speak. It is still in the morning, 11 o'clock, so let's take a look, shall we? At the very bottom, right here. In Europe, under 12,500. In America, under 3,500. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt and call this 16,000. It's actually less than 16,000 people playing this game on those two servers. They're geniuses, as you can tell, because only a genius could muster up 16,000 game players. And that's, ballpark where it's been, maybe a little bit lower, but not I would say not substantially lower in general. So that's basically the end of this, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you in one of those other videos. Check out the video about the garage configuration that you're seeing there, and I'll see you guys later. And as always, like and subscribe.